stump, okay? Usually, right, that was part of the issue. And the Gemara then went into some discussion of that uh, item in terms of what was the correct language of the Mishnah and what it meant, and came to the conclusion at one point, just sort of, as I say, quick review, that the way to remember who said what was samech samech, that Rabbi Yossi was the one who was oser. Okay? That's where we didn't stop there, but we pointed that out. Then the Gemara went back and tells us, Va'af Shmuel Hadarbe, Shmuel recanted, Etnan, as he taught, Chaltza Sandal She'eno Shalo, that if she performed chalitza to the Yabam with a shoe that was not, or a sandal not his, the sandal shel eitz, or the sandal was made of wood instead of leather, o shel small biyamin, or it was a left foot sandal instead of the right foot sandal, chalitza kshera. Okay, those would all be valid. So in other words, the implication there, okay, is that Shmuel then recognized that this item was a valid, let's say, wearing apparel, this kind of situation. Va'amrinan, Mantana, and we said, which Tana? Is it Amar Shmuel? It says Shmuel Rabbi Meir he. That's the view of Rabbi Meir, Ditznan, Hakitea Yotzei Bakav Shalo, Divrei Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi Oser. Okay? So therefore we see Shmuel eventually accepted that position. Then Va'af Rav Huna Hadarbe. Rav Huna also, says the Gemara, recanted on this position. The Tanya Sandal Shel Sayadim, that the shoe or the sandal worn by those who put lime down. In other words, think of the fact that today when people do certain kinds of work, they do carpet cleaning or whatever, I think things, they have something that they put on over their shoes, right? So something similar. Tamei midras, that also, that kind of shoe is susceptible to tamei midras, which I pointed out was usually translated as tamei because of treading, but we're using the phrase there, tamei midras, was the fact that the person could put weight on the shoe, and therefore by putting their weight on it, they're pushing down on the item. Okay, and if it's a zav wearing this item, therefore the item becomes tamei. The isha choletzet bo, and a woman can also be involved in chalitza with this kind of shoe. V'yotzin bo b'Shabbat divrei Rabbi Akiva. Okay, and one could go out wearing it on Shabbat, according to Rabbi Akiva, v'lo hodulo, and they did not agree with him. That's where we stopped yesterday. So picking up then, v'hatanya, says the Gemara, but don't we have a Braita that teaches hodulo, that they did acknowledge, they did agree with him. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna man hodulo. Who was it that agreed with him? Rabbi Meir. Uman lo hodulo, and who was it that disagreed with him? Rabbi Yossi. Okay. Now, going on in the Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef. Man lo hodulo, who was it that disagreed with him? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It was someone different. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Ditnan, who taught the following. Kiveret shel kash, if you have a receptacle made out of straw. V'shafo feret shel kanim, or you have a tube that's reeds. Rabbi Akiva metame. Rabbi Akiva would say that those are susceptible to tumah. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri metaher. But Rabbi Yochanan would say that those are not, right? So therefore that would seem to be that he disagrees with Rabbi kiva, even on this issue of the kind of footwear worn by the Sayyadim. Okay? Amar Mar, says the master, right? After all, said, Sandal shel Sayyadim, Tamei Midras. Right? That this shoe or shoe covering worn by the lime workers is susceptible to Tuma Midras. Ha? Lav lechilucha avde. What are we saying then, that don't they use it for walking, for any sort of movement, right? Amar Rav Acha bar Rav, says Rav Acha bar Rav Ula, shekain hasayad metayel bo ad shemagia lebeito. That it's at times that the lime workers will actually walk home wearing these shoes or shoe coverings until they got home, and then remove them. Okay. At this point, we come back to our Mishnah, right? The Mishnah said, remember, that if the amputee had a stump, let's say a item that had a hollow section in it, Beit Kibul, okay? And this Beit Kibul, this hollow section, had cloths there. These cloths, okay, they were subject to Tuma because the stump, if you will, okay, acted as a kli, as a utensil. Okay, so what happens? Amar Abaye, Tamei tumat meit, ve'ein tamei midras. Abaye argues that in that situation, okay, yes, it's subject to Tuma, but more so Tumas Mace, because Tumas Mace is an Av Tuma, and not Tumas Midras, which Abaye would argue is only a first degree and not of Tuma, and not an Av Tuma. Okay? Rava Amar, Af Tamei Midras. Rava disagrees and says, no, it's also subject to Tumas Midras, okay, in that case, which would be a Av Tum'ah, but one step down from Tumas Mace. Amar Rava, says Rava Mina Aminala, on what basis do I say this? Ditznan, as taught elsewhere in a Mishnah, Agla shel Katan Tme'ah Midras. Now, Agala shel Katan, on the one hand, could simply be translated as a wagon of a child. Okay, now, excuse me, what do we mean by some sort of a child's wagon? Okay, it's hard to clarify. We would, except I'm going to suggest that if you remember when children learn to walk, okay, small infants, you would put them in sort of like a contraption that had wheels, and the child could sort of sit on it. Their weight was in that basket part, and then they could begin to learn how to walk. Okay, I'm going to suggest that's the kind of wagon that they're referring to. Okay, something that allows, let's say, early, children to stand on it and move their feet, things like that. And because their weight is heavily put on this item, that's why it's subject to Tumat Midras. Okay, Va'abaye Amar, and Abaye argues, and Hatam, Samich Uluya, their weight is put on it. Hacha, in this case, in other words, even if the Zav is amputee and has to put his stump on this item, lo samich leye, he doesn't put all his weight on it. Amar Abaye, mina amina la, on what basis? do I say this? Titania, why? Because it was taught in a Braita, Makel Shels Kenim Tahor Mikalum. Okay, that a staff or a what we would call today a cane that's used by elderly people is not subject to tumah whatsoever. Okay, and therefore he's comparing the stump, if you will, of the amputee to a cane. The Rava, and what about Rava's view on this example? Hatam, there he says, as we go over to the next Amud, L'terutze sugya avida. No, he says that the cane is primarily used to help an elderly person line up their steps, to help them keep their balance, but they don't necessarily put their significant weight on it. Hacha l'smoch iluya hu avida. But for the amputee, it's different, that they primarily put their weight, okay, to lean on, and the person does so v'samichale, and he does rely on it. He does put his weight on it. Okay, so that's the example there. Okay, we go to the next piece of the Mishnah. As we continue now with the Mishnah, we're coming back to the example where our Mishnah, okay, referred earlier, okay, to the statement, okay, that was kisei usmuchot shelo, that the person was had the amputee such that he was, in a sense, confined to a chair, okay, and the supports were sort of almost like leather gloves that the person would use to get around, to move himself on the chair. Or another explanation is that since the amputee was either had them at the knees or perhaps even at the thigh, that there were leather items there that the body fitted into, and that's how the person moved around. And those leather receptacles, okay, were almost like shoes. And then our Mishnah said, "Ve'ein nichnasin behem ba'azara," but they cannot enter that way into the temple courtyard. Okay, so our Mishnah here stated, Tme'in midras, they are subject to Tuma midras, ve'ein yotzin bohen b'Shabbat, and one cannot go out with them on Shabbos, ve'ein nichnasin behem la'azara. And we said they cannot enter the temple precinct. Tane, Tana Kame de Rabbi Yochanan. Okay? And Tana recited this before Rabbi Yochanan. Nichnasin bahem la'azara, that they could enter the temple precinct. Amarle, Rabbi Yochanan responds, Ani shoneh isha choletzepo. I'm teaching that a woman can perform chalitza with it. Okay, in that situation, that shows that they count like shoes, which would seem to imply, okay, that they not enter the temple courtyard, temple precinct with it, right? Va'at amart nichnasin, and you say that they're able to eat, to enter the temple courtyard. Tane ein nichnasin behen la'azara. No, change how you teach the Mishnah and teach it that they are not able to enter the temple courtyard. Okay. Next piece from the Mishnah, the final section, Luk Tamin Tahora. We translated Luk Tamin as a kind of artificial limb, artificial arm in particular. But the Gemara asks, Mai Luk Tamin? What is this Luk Tamin? Okay, And we get a number of answers. Amar Rabbi Abahu, says Rabbi Abahu, Chamra da'achva. It's a kind of toy that people carried in the shape of a donkey that one carried on their shoulders. Okay? That's one explanation based on a Greek. Rava bar Papa Amar, Kashire. He said it was stilts, okay, where people would wear them so their actual clothes, shoes would not get dirty, right? Rava bar Rav Huna Amar Parme, that they were a kind of a mask, okay? Greek theater, right? You may have learned that they wore masks to designate certain characters, right? But those again are questionable whether they could wear them in the public domain on Shabbat. Okay, let's go on. Our new Mishnah, okay, is now going to deal with the, again, acceptable items by which one could go out into the Reshus HaRabim on Shabbat, okay? Or those items which are not acceptable, but there are parameters, okay? Definitions. Matnitin, our Mishnah, Habanim Yotzim B'Ksharim, okay? That boys may go out with Ksharim. Now, according to one explanation, Ksharim is simply knots, okay? Something tied in knots. Others say it's more like a garland, okay, worn around the neck. The implication seems to be that they were some sort of amulet, okay, to ward off certain illnesses or certain situations. In other words, the next piece is going to give a further example. U'bnei melachim v'zugin, and the young princes, okay, are able to go out wearing bells, right? Now, perhaps this is going to be clarified in the Gemara. V'chol adam, and likewise all people, ele shedibru chachamim b'hoveh, but rather the sages spoke in the present. In other words, they spoke about the usual practice of how people dressed and went around. So the first question the Gemara asks is, Ma'ik Sharim? What do we mean by these knots or these garlands? Amar Adamari, says Adamari, Amar Rav Nachman bar Baruch, says in the name of Rav Nachman bar Baruch, Amar Rav Ashi bar Avin, Amar Rav Yehuda. So again, Masorah has to try to explain what these were. Kishure Pua. Okay, these were garlands or knots of a kind of vegetable or plant. Okay, and it was believed that these were preventive items for an illness. Amar Abai, says Abai, Amri Amrali Aim. Okay, Abai, remember, was raised by a nurse, if you will, and this, she taught him many I guess we'll say common remedies and approaches, and this is what he says. Tlata mokme, okay, three, okay, wearing this garland with three knots, okay, three, if you call them bags of the plant, okay, allows one to maintain their status so the illness doesn't get worse. Chamisha masu, okay, wearing it with five helps heal. Shiva afilu l'kshafim ma'ale, and wearing it with seven even is a preventative and helps against any sort of magic against the person. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov says as follows: Vahu delo chazi le shimsha v'sihara. Okay, and this is so long as the plant, okay, that are attached on these garlands, these knots, it doesn't see the sun or it doesn't see the moon. Okay? He's clarifying, not disagreeing with Abaye. V'lo chaze mitra, and it doesn't see rain. V'lo shami'a le kol barzela, and it doesn't hear the sound of iron. V'kol tarnagolta, and it doesn't hear the sound of a hen. V'gal nigre, okay, and it doesn't hear the sound of footsteps. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, okay? If Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak is responding then to that clarification, Nafal puta babira, okay? That's about as worthless as if the plant then fell into a pit. In other words, if you have all these limitations, what good is it? Ma'i irya bani. So the Gemara continues now, back to the language of our Mishnah, saying that young men used to wear it out. Afilu banot nami. If that's the case, if it prevents illness, okay, why girls should wear it? Ma'i irya ktanim. Why just young? Afilu gdolim nami. If that's the case, even adults should likewise wear it. Elamai ksharim. No, what do we mean? He says here by these tying knots. Ki had amar avin bar huna, amar Rav Chama bar Goria. Okay? No, he says it's going to something totally different. Okay? What does he say it in the name of Chama bar Goria? Ben sheyesh ga'agu'in al aviv. A young boy who has these, who misses his father. Okay, his father goes whatever to work, to someplace else. Okay, notel ritzu'ah mimin al shel yamin. He takes the shoelace, okay, from the right shoe, v'kosher lo bismolo, and he ties it to the left arm of the boy. Now, some Mefarshim disagree that it means simply the father has gone to work in the morning, okay, but implies that the father is deceased, okay? So there's a difference there as to what the purpose of this is. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, v'simanach tfilin, and your reminder, okay, is that it's like tefillin. The chilufa sakanta, and the opposite is dangerous. Okay, if you tie at the wrong location, okay, it is not beneficial. Okay? Now, since we're talking already about perhaps amulets and medicines and talisman, okay, that ward off certain evils, the Gemara now is going to continue for the whole rest of the Amud, okay, with a variety of examples of certain practices, let's say, at least in the time then of Chazal, that could have something to do with either medicinal benefits or what they had considered to be preventive situations. Okay, let's go on. Amar Avin bar Huna, says Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Goria, the following. Sechufe kasa, one can overturn a cup that had had hot water in it, and the cup now is still hot. Atibure b'shabta, on the person's stomach, okay, on Shabbos, right? The idea that the hot cup is going to, this kind of was a common medical procedure, cupping, okay, to sort of draw the skin or to draw other issues out. Shapir dami, well said. V'amar Avin bar Huna, another example. Amar Rav Chama bar Goria, another case. Mutar lesuch shemen umelech b'Shabbat. It's permissible to mix oil and salt together and to anoint oneself with it on Shabbat. Ki ha the Rav Huna mibei Rav, as was done by Rav Huna when he exited the house of Rav, Rav mibei Rav Chia, and Rav when he came out of the house of Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Chia mibei Rebbe, or Rabbi Chia when he came out of the house of Rebbe, ki havu miv same, that they were a bit intoxicated, drunk. Maitai mishcha umilcha, they took oil and salt. V'shaife laho leguyaita yadaihu, and they rubbed it on the palms of their hands. V'guyaita dekraihu, and they rubbed it also on the soles of their feet. Va'amre, and they said, ki hechi datzil hamishcha, the same way that this oil should be clear, litzil chamre de palinaya bar palmaita, and that they're also clear this liquor, right? This wine from so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, mentioning their mother's name. Okay? And what happens, said the Gemara? V'ilo maite. Okay, and if he didn't bring the salt and oil combination, what should they do then? Right? Shia didana. Okay, you take the seal of clay that's usually put on a barrel, right? V'share le b'maya, and you dip it in water. V'amar ki hechi dilatzil, and then you say again, way this item is clear. Hai shia litzil chamre de palnaya bar palmita. Let this also clear item, okay, clear off the chamre, the wine, the liquor, from so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, naming the mother. Okay, another example. Va'amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. He says as follows, Mutar lechanek b'Shabbat. It's permissible to, so to speak, strangle somebody on Shabbos. By strangle here, they mean to apply pressure to the neck or the veins in order to adjust vertebra. Okay, if somebody had a stiff neck or something else, example. Okay, another case. Va'amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria, he says, okay, we said that. Va'amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria, lefufe yenuka b'shavta shapir dami. In other words, to swaddle an infant on Shabbat. If they're concerned that the infant is born on Shabbat and a limb seems out of place, okay, to tighten the limb into place, to wrap the child, swaddle it real tight, is permissible on Shabbat. Now, apparently there was some question as to this statement of Avin bar Huna and Rav Chama bar Guria in regards to children, whether it was one child, more than one, how it was taught. Rav Papa matne banim. Rav Papa taught it in referring to children. Okay? Rav Zavid matne ben. Rav Zavid taught it in regards to ben, or single child. Rav Papa matne banim. Utravaihu matne laho ba'avin bar Huna. Rav Papa taught it in regards to children, and he taught both statements, okay, as lessons from Avin bar Huna. Rav Zavin matne ben. Rav Zavid taught it referring to ben, a child. Kamaita matne ba'avin bar Ahuna. The first case, he taught it in regards as a lesson from Avin bar Huna, Vahai matne la berava bar Chana. And the other, he taught in the name of Rava bar Chana, the Amar Rava bar Chana, the Fufe Yenuka b'Shabta Shapir Dami, as he taught that Rava bar Chana said to swaddle a child on Shabbat is well done. Okay, now we get to a new example. Okay, Amar Abaye, since we had Abaye earlier citing an example about the knots of the plant to prevent illness, he's going to cite other examples that his nurse taught him, who raised him as his mother. Kol mein yanai, all the incantations, b'shema de'ima, should include the name of the mother. V'chol katre bismala, and all these knots that we talked about are on the left. Right? V'amar Abaye, another example. Right? Says Amra li'en, my mother, again, the teacher told me, Kol minyane de mefarshe ke de mefarshe. All incantations that are explicitly worded, ke de mefarshe, one has to say them as explicitly stated. Udelo mefarshe, and when they're not explicitly stated, arba'in vechad zimne, one has to say them 41 times. Okay. Another case, another separate situation. Now we're talking about an item that's called a preservation stone.
Rabbi,
Yes.
are we going to be told what the significance of the 41 is? It doesn't seem to explain.
Right, it doesn't. It just seems to be a number that they came up with to say that the incantation should be repeated. So, in other words, as opposed to a specific number, a numerous number of times.
Okay. Sounds
Sure.
good. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. All right. So the next example we're going to give is a Braita, and we're going to talk about the fact that they would wear a certain kind of stone around the neck, particularly women. And the stone was considered a talisman to prevent miscarriage. Okay. Tana Rabbanan, Yotz'in be'evan tikuma. Okay, a woman, okay, can go out wearing this called preservation stone, right? B'Shabbat, on Shabbat. Mishum Rabbi Meir, okay, Omru, and they said in the name of Rabbi Meir, Af b'mishkol evan tikuma, even a weight, another stone that had the same weight, a counterweight, the same weight as the normal preservation stone. In fact, the Koren Steinsaltz actually has a picture of one. The stone actually had a hole in the middle through which the chain would go through. Okay, velo shehipila, okay, ela shematapil, and not that she would have the miscarriage, but to lest she might potentially miscarriage. Velo she'ibra, and not that she would even become pregnant, ela shema tit aber v'tapil, but lest she become pregnant and have a miscarriage. So these kinds of amulets and talisman were apparently quite common. Amar Rav Yimar Bar Shalmia Mishmei de Abaye. Further, he says in the name of Abaye, Vahu de Ichaven ve'itkil. Okay, and this was so long that it was equal, okay, and that it weighed the same amount. Okay, again, not disagreeing, but clarifying Abaye's statement. Okay, now, by Abaye, So Abai asks, Mishkal, the Mishkal Mai, Teku. What about if you have a weight, a stone that's equal in weight to another stone that's equal in weight to a real preservation stone? What's its status? Could that be worn on Shabbat? Teku, we have no answer. Va'amar Abai. Abai now gives us another statement. Amra li'en. Again, my mother told me. Okay? La'ashta bat yoma. If one has a fever during the day, okay, a single day's fever, lishkol zuza chivara. One should take a coin, a white or new coin, velizil b'milchata. He should then go to the salt pool, right? And what should he do? Velit kol mitkalia milcha. And he should then take the weight of that coin from the salt pool, right? Velitzaire bechalala, the beit savar benira. And he should then tie, okay, that amount of salt, okay, onto something, and then attach it with a thread to the neckline of his garment, okay, by a hair, right? Okay. So that's what Benira Barka, with a thread of a hair. Ve'ilal, and if that doesn't work, litov aparshat drachim. He should sit at the crossroads of a road. V'chichaze shum shamana gamla, and dedare mide, when he sees a large ant carrying a load, carrying something, lish kale, he should take the ant, vilish daye begufta, and he should throw it into a tube, dinachasha, made out of copper. Okay? Vilistame ba'avra, and he should cover the tube with lead. Vilichtame beshitin gushpanke, and he should then close it up, seal it with 60 seals, okay, using, let's say, wax or something. Veliv rozole, he should shake it. Velidare, and lift it. Velemale, tu'unach alai, v'tu'unai alach. My burden is on you, and your burden is on me.
Sounds like the chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Now, what happens further? Amarle Rav Acha Barei the Rav Huna, the Rav Ashi. He says, questioning this practice, V'dilma inish ashkache v'ivsik bae. Perhaps somebody else found the ant, right? And he ended his illness on that ant. And so if the person takes that ant, he winds up taking on himself the illness of the other person as opposed to getting rid of his own illness. Ela lemale. But therefore, rather, he should say as follows, Tu'unai v'tu'unach alach. My burden and your burden is on you. In other words, the whole thing should be on the ant. Okay.
The ant.
Yeah. V'ilo lishkol. Okay. And if he wasn't able to do that, v'ilo, right? What should he do? Lishkol kuza chadata. He should take a new pitcher, right? V'lizil l'nahara, and go down to the river. V'lemale, and say to the river, Nahara, Nahara, Usfan, Kuza Damaya, okay? River, river, okay? lend me a pitcher of water, le'urcha de'ikla'ali, okay, for the way, right, that I am, for the journey that has occurred to me, that happened to me. V'lahader, shav, and he turns around backwards 7 times, sheva zene, al reshe. He turns the pitcher around his head 7 times, v'lishdayan la'achore, and then he throws it behind his back, right? V'lemale, and he says to him, Nahara, Nahara, shekol maya diyahavatli. Water, water. Okay, take back, so to speak, the water that you gave me, the urcha de iglaili, okay, that for the trip, the journey that came to me, biyome ata, because it came to me in one day, ubiyome azil, and in another day it left me. We'll go just a little bit more because Samech Zayin, as you'll see as we turn the page, is pretty long as well for tomorrow. Okay, now we'll just go a bit here. La'ashta tilta, for a fever that lasts 3 days. This is apparently a kind of malaria that spiked the fever either every 48 or 72 hours. Right? What should one do here? Laite shiva silve mishiva dikle. One has to take, in this case, 7 thorns from 7 palm trees. Veshiva tzive mishiva kashure. And then he has to take 7 wood chips from 7 beams. Veshiva sichi mishiva geshure. And 7 pegs from 7 bridges. Vesheva katime, okay, misheva tanure. And 7 ashes, heaps of ashes from 7 ovens. Vishiva afare, mishiva sanre. And then he takes 7 batches of dust, of earth, from 7 door sockets. Vishiva kufre, mishiva arve. And he has to take then 7 varieties of tar or pitch from 7 ships. Vishiva bone, right? Kamone, right? 7 handfuls of cumin, right? Vishiva bene midikna de kalbasava, and 7 hairs from the beard of an old dog, right? Vilitzai rinhu bechalala, and he ties them all up in the back, the nape of the Beit Sava, in the back of the neck, the nape of the neck of the garment, benira barka, with a twisted thread the size of a hair. Now, a little bit more to deal. By the way, I wouldn't suggest trying these when you have a fever. La'ashta samirta. Furthermore, says the Gemara, if you have a high fever, right, an inflammatory fever, what do? Lishkal sakina de kula parzala. You take a knife that is entirely made of iron. Velizil lehecha deika vardina. And you go to where there are raspberry thorn bushes. Veliktar bein nira barka. And you cut away, okay, all right, okay, okay, I'm sorry, you tie a white twisted thread to it, right? Yom Kama, 1 day, Likrok Bay Porta. You cut away a little bit from the base of the thorn bush. And you say, Vayar Malach Hashem Elav Vagomer. You cite a pasuk, right? And the angel of the Lord appeared to him, right? Lemachar, the next day, Lichrok Bay Porta. You cut a little more from the base of the bush. V'lema, and you say another pasuk. Vayomer Moshe Asura na va'areh. Again, Moses said, I'll turn aside and see the bush. Lemachar, the next day, Likrok Bay Porta. Again, you cut away a little bit more. V'lema, and you say, Vayar Hashem kisar lerot v'gomer. Right? Amar le Rav Acha berei the Rava. He says, L'Rav Ashi v'lema. So let the person say, Vayomer al tikrav chalom v'gomer. Why doesn't he say a different pasuk? Not even to come close. In other words, why all these use of psukim as part of incantations to cure the high fever? Ela leyom kama, but rather on the first day, let him say, Vayar malach Hashem elav v'gomer, say that pasuk, Vayomer Moshe v'gomer, and the second pasuk, Ulamachar, and the next day, say, Vayar Hashem kisar lerot, Ulamachar Vayomer Hashem al tikrav halom. In other words, saying the two psukim together. V'chi pasak le litate v'livskei. Okay, and then when he stops saying these various verses, he bends down, all right, and he lowers himself, and he cuts some more, and let him say, Hasne, Hasne, La'av, Mishum de Gabait, Mikol Ilane, O thorn bush, right? It's not because you're the highest of the trees, Ashrei, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shchinte Alayich, that happy be the Hashem that he put his presence upon you, Ela Mishum the Miyacht Mikol Ilane, Ashrei Kudshe Brichu Shchinte Alach. It's because you are the lowest of the trees. Hihecha Dechamite, okay, Ashta, okay, and therefore let this fire, this fever, okay, dissipate. Lechananya, Mishael, v'Azariah. Just as the fire dissipated and did not hurt Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, okay, va'arikat min kadmo'ai, and flee before them, okay, and before so-and-so, all right, okay, and thus the Cain, Tachmine, Ishta, Leploni, Bar Ploni, okay, and so this fever, okay, is going to flee from so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, okay, V'tiarak min kadmo'ai, all right, and therefore flee from him and no longer burden him. And that's where we're going to stop, right there, okay? There's as a way of trying to get rid of high fever. The Gemara is then going to continue and finish up with a couple of other examples and then go to a new Mishnah with other examples of items that were used for amulets or for talisman as well. Okay. So everybody have a good day. As I said,
Correct. Thank you, Rabbi Green. Rabbi Green, I understand that Dr. Fauci has requested from the president 7 hairs from an aged dog's beard.
I didn't know the president had a beard. Okay.
Yes, from an aged dog, he's going to.
It's an orange beard.
Anything you want, Tony, he's going to get him because he thinks this could really be a big game changer.
Yeah. That's why Dr. Fauci chose quarantine. He's really getting some time off, I think, away from the president. Okay, everybody, take care.
Thank you.
Uh,